Welcome back, everybody. So today, everybody trying to be an analyst to predict what's going to happen at 2 o'clock this afternoon. The reality is we can't. We have to see and wait and see what's going to happen. But we certainly have been seeing signs all over the place. And this is something that we're talking to our analysts about. Let me introduce them once again. You know her very well. And so do you know Professor Sipho Seepe, political analyst, as well as Professor Susan Booysen, also a political analyst, but with the Wits School of Governance. So as we ended off our discussion, I brought up our opposition leaders and their confidence in today. In fact, they were very confident all along that this was going to be a secret ballot. We didn't believe them, and yet it did come through. Now, they, again, are expressing their confidence in this is the end of Zuma. And yet many of us are struggling to believe this too. What do opposition parties know that we don't, or are they just being overly confident?
No, first of all, we should accept that the ANC is on its back foot through its own problems. I watched the ANC lose Nelson Mandela because of their own internal problems there. When you had Tshwane, they parachuted somebody and the people rejected. So some of most of those were own goals. Yeah. But what you must also accept is that empires do collapse, and the ANC is not any different. And the glue that kept the ANC together is no longer there. It has been unable to reinvent itself. So it is not only about Zuma, it's also about the internal contradictions that are there within the ANC. And what the way they manifest themselves is where you have groupings that ultimately get booted out. Mm-hmm. The EFF those young people could not survive within the ANC because their posture was militant. There was element of urgency, and when you compare them with people who had been in exile, who are tired and all that, so we must accept that possibility. I also heard Nkosazana Zuma saying maybe we should also allow people to go rather than that you have those who advance transformation and those who don't. But what the ANC has been trying to do is to manage all these contradictions. But you can go so far and no further. And what it has done, it has made the ANC to disconnect with the masses, something that in itself, it does say in its own document that there is a distance between the leadership as well as the people on the ground. So I do think that it has a challenge. The President Zuma will be out politically in December. Yeah. So the question for them is, do we almost exacerbate the tensions that we have, or can we wait another 3 months? Or 4 months when he'll be gone. Mm. So that is the argument that seems to be swaying most of the MPs and some members of the ANC to say we're not going to repeat what happened in 2008.
Yeah. The big question, and I think this has come up a few times, and it's quite a simple analogy. You talk about what the people are seeing and what the ANC are doing. So many people are literally putting the secret ballot in one sentence. The ANC are in a position. Do they sacrifice Zuma for the ANC, or do they sacrifice the ANC for Zuma? I'm not sure if that's a simple way of putting it, but that's how many people are looking at it right now, because the future of the ANC is hanging on this vote.
Yeah, unfortunately, the ANC has lost command of the narrative. When you talk about issues of change, whether you talk about land, the land issue, it was the EFF that pushed it. The whole notion of radical economic transformation, it was the EFF that put it on the table. So part of it is that they have become so internally focused. As I can tell you that at least in the last 6 months, it has always been whether the veterans are coming to, whether it's going to be a National Constitutive Conference, whether you're going to listen to the veterans. We have not had the connection with the people. You've had protests every week in every province around issues of service delivery, but the discussion has not been around those. It has been an internally focused debate. They focused on the succession debate, and when you do that, people say, but you're forgotten about us. What about us? You can talk,
and in the process, the ANC has really dropped the ball because the people have become alienated, not just from the ANC to a large extent, but also from the whole political system. That's why we see so many people on the streets today. They do not even believe just getting the MPs to do the right thing in Parliament is going to, that the outcome would be on their side. We see generally indicators, many very credible public opinion polls show the drop of confidence, of trust of the population in general in institutions of our democracy, and where they just don't think Parliament, for example, can do what is necessary, and that is not even specifically speaking about the Zuma issue. So there has been an alienation from the formalized liberal democracy of sorts that South Africa has, at least the constitutional, institutional aspects of that democracy. That is not where it has been in the past, and that is largely courtesy of how the ANC has been conducting its government. So that is a serious existential crisis for the whole system.
Yeah, I mean, but in all honesty, is today going to be the turning point in our history? Because obviously, this is now going to be, we are going to tally up where the members of the ANC are. You know, we're going to see these votes, whether or not there is a no confidence, a successful vote.
If it swings, it is going to be a turning point, yes.
Yeah.
But whether it swings or not, it is going to be a serious historical conjuncture, a point where things are going to be different. Either keeping a discredited, overwhelmingly discredited president in power, and that runs against the ANC and against the support they will get in future elections. So the ANC cannot win in this. They can win the exact vote today, but they cannot win in terms of the bigger picture. Yeah. And that is where their own MPs have become so entrenched in a Zuma circle, so compromised in many ways. But Tabile Dlamini said a while ago, they all have their little jackals and skeletons and they cannot afford to go against the president. And too many of them know that under a future president, they will not be where they are today. And that has got a huge impact on how they will be behaving today.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll continue to talk about this. We'll also continue to look at the numbers from previous votes, because this is not the first time that the no confidence vote is happening, but it's the first time that it's been held in secret. So perhaps, again, these votes will sway quite substantially. Stay tuned.